Huh. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for coming to our third meeting of the LGBT Advisory Committee. I know it was a little bit of a schedule scramble. I was out of the country for a couple of weeks and didn't account for that properly, so it was a bit of a scramble getting things going. So thank you everybody for your patience and being flexible. Um, as we get going this time, the last time we met, um, I think was a very good conversation. We talked a lot about kind of where we were as far as how we viewed what the next few years were going to bring, and we talked about our concerns. And I think it was a good conversation. It was a needed conversation as we've been reflecting on kind of what to talk about in meetings going forward. I think it is well time to get onto the chartered purpose of this committee, which is uh, to make recommendations to the county manager and to provide guidance and to provide support for county employees as they need us. So in this meeting, we have a couple of presentations. We're gonna get an update on what's going on for World Pride. And then after the presentation and the public comment period, I would like to get a discussion going about kind of what we think the need is for, so what direction we want to go as far as in the state that we're in, what recommendations do we think would be helpful? I've got a couple ideas, but we'll wait for the information we're receiving to go forward. And then another function is as we get requests coming in for guidance, for expertise, for presence from the county. I could forward a lot of the requests we get to everybody, but I think it would also be a good idea to have a few kind of topical subcommittees, subgroups that are kind of ready to go to answer questions or come to events for different topics. And so we'll get into that a little bit at the end as well. But I think first, I believe agenda-wise, we open with public comment. Did we have anyone who signed up for public comment this time?
We have two people who signed up
Okay.
for public comment. So first person who signed up was Kellen Macbeth.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Colin Macbeth, and I'm the president of Equality Arlington. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and provide public comment. So I want to provide a couple of quick updates on some of the things that Equality Arlington has been working on since you all last met. And for those who aren't aware, we're a LGBTQ plus advocacy nonprofit that was founded 2 years ago. We've been working with other advocates and community members to pressure the county board to adopt an LGBTQ plus affirming and supportive resolution. I'm very pleased that, led by Maureen Coffey on the board, that the county board will be taking up that resolution tomorrow at their recess meeting at 3:30. So I know it's a difficult time for people to come out, but some of us are working to be there. That resolution is really going to be key for, again, reaffirming public support for the LGBTQ plus community, but also ensuring that it provides direction to the county manager and staff on how we execute those values as a county, as a community. We also have been working with the county to ensure that we have a robust, Pride footprint this year. So we have World Pride happening, but we wanted to make sure that Arlington County was actively involved in events and activities. So there's a lot that's happening there, and I'm sure you guys will get more of an update. And we're excited for that kickoff happening in Courthouse Plaza on Friday and Saturday of this week. We've also been working with the county on a number of items around the budget. So as the Trump administration has pulled back their support for civil rights enforcement across the board in particular, and I don't think it's surprising because they've declared their hatred of the trans community in particular. They have stopped enforcement of sexual orientation, gender identity when it comes to housing, employment, a lot of other areas. So we've been working with the county to urge them to step up enforcement because the state is easily overwhelmed and also not a lot of resources put towards that enforcement by the current administration in Richmond. So there was some success on the budget with that. There's still a lot more that can be done. And we also have been urging them to make investments in public health, especially as the federal government pulls back. We don't want to see HIV rates increase in Arlington County and the surrounding areas, especially as we potentially lose access to free PrEP and other HIV prevention, strategies and drugs. So there's a lot more to be done when it comes to gender affirming care in our healthcare system. There's a lot of advocacy and support that the county can do, and I think you all can help with that. What is that message from the county to our healthcare providers throughout our community to make sure that they don't pull back on support for especially trans youth, but also adults, and also pressuring the county and advising them to make sure that LGBTQ plus protections at the state level are beefed up and enhanced when it comes to the General Assembly next year. And also, we'd love to see this group involved in helping to plan the county response for future Pride months, so that it's great what the county's doing this year. We want to see that continue and grow in future years. And I think this committee in particular could play a really key coordination role in making sure that all across the county government and within the community, there's that communication and coordination happening to make sure that we really show every year for Pride that we celebrate and we're full of joy for the LGBTQ+ community in Arlington. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we also have a second public comment speaker, Charles McCullough.
Good evening, committee members. I'm Charles McCullough, South Arlington resident and advocate. I just want to thank you all for allowing space for public comment and for all the thoughtful, joyful, and at times invisible labor that I know that you all are doing in service to Arlington's LGBTQIA+ community. I want to begin with a note of appreciation. Arlington's World Pride Month programming is inclusive, creative, and intentionally varied. There's truly something for everyone, and the inclusion of many no-cost events stands out in a big way. But some World Pride events still require deep pockets. So in a world where a Pride brunch can cost more than a month of groceries, this does matter. According to a study by the Center for American Progress, LGBTQIA+ adults are over twice as likely as non-LGBTQ adults to live in poverty. And rates are even higher for trans people, disabled people, and same-gender loving folks of color. Accessibility through affordability isn't a bonus, it's equity. In the future, I hope that this advisory committee can commit Arlington to ensuring that all county promoted events during Pride are low or no cost, making inclusion the standard, not the exception. And one small friendly nudge, let's get the full list of Pride events out earlier and promote it more broadly. When options are limited, it's fine to find out last minute. But when the menu is rich and diverse, as has been designed, early access lets people plan, prioritize, and participate fully. So, now to the big item on tonight's agenda, the discussion of subcommittees. I urge you to move forward with forming them. You're not a Pride Party planning committee. You are an essential civic bridge between LGBTQIA+ lives and the government, business, and civic ecosystems that shape them. The visibility work you do is vital, but so is the vigilance work, making sure that equity, safety, and belonging don't fade once the parade floats and rainbow tchotchkes are packed away. Subcommittees allow this small but mighty advisory committee to distribute its energy wisely and sustain momentum throughout the year. I recommend at least 3 subcommittees. First, policy and equity, to track local and state legislation, push for inclusive policies, and elevate the needs of the most marginalized in our community. Second would be health, safety, and wellness, to focus on mental health access, STI prevention, gender-affirming care, housing stability, and responses to LGBTQ+ hate. Finally, I'd recommend visibility and culture, to continue the joyful work of Pride Month celebrations, but also support queer art, history, and storytelling year-round. Subcommittees are important because they make room for allies and volunteers who might not serve on the full committee that you all are on, but will lend time and expertise to specific goals. These subcommittees create points of entry, and that's how the movement grows. As Harvey Milk once said, hope will never be silent. But hope also needs structure. It needs places to meet, work to do, and people to carry it forward. You are doing that work. I see it, and the community sees it. Thank you for what you've done and what you're building for the future.
All right, thank you very much. Those are very good thoughts, and some notes after my own heart with the notes I've been taking. So thank you for that. Thank you very much. So let me see. So next on the agenda, I had our Pride update. So I believe, Cynthia, you were going to discuss what the county has going on and get some feedback on some ideas for Pride.
Yes, thank you so much, Samantha. Good evening, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. For those of you whom I've not met yet, my name is Cynthia LaChase Torres, and I work with Elizabeth here in the county manager's office. I am the new Race and Equity Programs Manager. I've been with the county for over 20 years working in the planning department prior to this role, so really excited to be in this spot. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I want to tell you a little bit about what Arlington County as a government has been planning for Pride Month and the arrival of World Pride, but I'm also seeking some advice and recommendations from you all on another project that we want to do. So
real quick, can I pause you
Yes.
real quick? Because right before you started talking, Laura's hand went up. So I just want to see if
course.
there's anything urgent that we need to say before we get started.
I just don't know how formal we are, if we need
Okay.
to like approve the minutes, have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting as they were submitted, if we need to get that out of the way. It was on the agenda and we skipped over it. So if so, I move that we accept the minutes as they were typed up and sent to us.
All right, very good call. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor? Just raise your hand or give a thumbs up emoji or say aye, however you want to.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Right, any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, hearing no opposition, the minutes are approved, and I am pulling up the up-to-date version of the agenda. Anyway, thank you for that call out. Sorry for that, Cynthia. Please,
No
please go ahead.
worries, no worries. So as you're already aware, hopefully, the county is planning two really exciting things that are happening this coming weekend, weather permitting. As I look outside, it's looking gray, and I think the rest of the week is supposed to be pretty wet and gray, so we'll see. But we are working with a nationally renowned light projection artist. His name is Robin Bell. His company is called Bell Visuals, and he's based locally, and we have hired him to do a Pride-themed light projection on the Bosman Government Center. And so we're really excited about that. To say that he's really excited about working with us is an understatement, so this is going to be a lot of fun. And weather permitting, the first evening of the projection will be this Friday evening, the 16th, from about 8 or so. We'll have to wait and see what time it actually gets dark, to about 10 p.m. So just around 2 hours or so. And then the following evening, again, weather permitting, on Saturday the 17th, we are doing a second night of the projection, but we are preceding that with a block party out in the plaza. So the Pride block party is going to have a DJ through our Department of Parks and Recreation. We're going to have Courthouse Social is there. They're going to have a food station. They're going to be selling sandwiches, and there'll be food available. We also will have plaza games out in the area, and some swag and giveaways. And so we're really excited about that. If Mother Nature has other plans, however, and we cannot make it this Saturday, the rain date will be the 31st. So if Friday night gets rained out, that rain date will be the 30th. If the Saturday block party rains out, that date will be the 31st. And so we're really excited about those. And if any of you have been walking around the Bosman area over the past couple of days, you might have seen a lot of people out in the plaza area. And I apologize. I feel like I'm very sunburned and I probably have paint all over my face because I spent my entire day today helping paint a mural, 2 murals, in fact, right outside the Bosman Government Center in the parking lot area. And if you haven't peeked, you can get a sneak preview. We made a lot of progress today because of the weather. We kind of stayed out there a little bit longer so we could get ahead of Mother Nature. But we've been working with another really renowned local artist. Her name is Lisa Marie Thalhammer, and her company is called Lisa Marie Studios. She's done a lot of really engaging work in the district and other places, so you might have seen some of her work before. So she designed 2 murals for us that we are painting using all county staff volunteer labor. So it has been a lot of fun meeting people from all corners of the county who are really excited to get messy with us and help make these murals a reality. And so our goal is to try to have them both done by the time Friday night comes for the projection. We'll have to see if we can get that done if it's because of the weather. But we are hoping that once both of the murals are done, that we can then try to do some additional activations in the mural spaces throughout Pride Month in June. And one event that I know we're going to do, I don't have a date yet, and I will let Elizabeth know so she can share it with you all, is that Lisa Marie, unfortunately, is not able to make it to our events this weekend because she's double booked and has another major project she's working on, but we're going to invite her back and do lunch with the artist in the new space so people can ask her questions and chat with her. So she seemed really excited about that. So I'll get you those details once we have those firmed up. And then in addition to all of those things, we have ordered a new supply of progress flags that will soon be hanging at all of the county facilities throughout Arlington. So we are getting ready to coordinate and distribute those. So be on the lookout for those. And another project that we had aimed to do to coincide with this fantastic opening weekend, which I think is going to be delayed by a couple of weeks just because there's we're running out of time, but we want to unveil this in June for Pride Month, is to create some collages that highlight important figures, local figures in the Pride movement, whether they're Arlingtonians or from the region. And that is where I'm seeking your recommendations. If you know of any people that we might be able to talk to or research to include in these posters. Right now, we have 2 people selected, and those include Dr. Lily Vincennes, whom I'm sure a lot of you probably have heard of. She was a gay rights pioneer, and she hosted a gay women's open house in her duplex off of Carlin Springs Road for about a decade. And it really was a welcoming and inclusive place for people. And we also wanted to highlight Jay Fassett as the first openly gay elected official in the state of Commonwealth of Virginia. And so we were hoping to be able to include some diversity amongst the members or members of the community that we are able to highlight on as part of this project. And that's where I was hoping you all might have some suggestions for us. If anyone can think of anyone right now and just wants to, put them in the chat or just share them, that would be wonderful. If not, you can get in touch with me separately. If you want to email me, I would really welcome those ideas because this is something that we would like to have on display here at the county building, and then maybe create a series of these posters that we could have on display throughout the month of June.
Anyone have a favorite local queer history icon?
Are you looking just for folks that are from Arlington or anywhere in Northern Virginia?
I would like where we could to try to connect them to Arlington, because I just feel like that brings that local history alive. If it's possible.
I don't know if Freddie is on the call, but would definitely recommend Freddie,
Mhm.
just for all the incredible work there.
Yes. Thank you for that suggestion.
I don't know the deep history, but I know like Equality Nova, AGLA goes way back, and there's stories and figures from there that would
Mhm.
probably be good to represent.
Yeah, that was another suggestion we had gotten to
Mhm.
include some of the advocacy organizations, and I love that
Mhm.
idea too.
I would also say maybe finding out with the police department how long their LGBTQIA unit has been around, and maybe someone who started that unit, like Kip Malcolm, I know was with that unit for a long time, but maybe there's someone there who we could highlight.
What was the name that you had shared?
Kip Malcolm.
Thank you.
He was the liaison a long time ago. I don't think he's there now, but obviously the police department would know.
Okay.
I know annually at Freddy's they do the Miss Gay Arlington. They pick some winners from that going back. Those, and you get fun flashy posters there too. So.
Oh, that's true. So these are great ideas. Well, if you think of any others in the days ahead, feel free to share them with Elizabeth, and then she can get them to me, and we can incorporate that into our research. And I'll just say too, one last thing. I know you all have a lot of important business you need to get to on your agenda tonight, but I'm hoping that the Office of Realizing Arlington's Commitment to Equity will be able to be a resource to your committee. And if there's any way that we can help and try to build a partnership where we can continue working together for Pride related things, not just in May and June, but throughout the year, we're happy to help with that. So just wanted to share that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes, Tom.
Yes, so Cynthia, just a few details. So would this
Sure.
recognition be just during Pride Month, or would it be something throughout the year? Would it be a permanent kind of thing? What do you envision?
For the research project, you mean?
Yes, and the recognition that's provided to
Yeah.
the individuals that are ultimately selected.
No, that's a great question. As we were starting to think through how Arlington County as a government could promote Pride activities, one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that we had some teaching moments as part of that. It's one thing to see the Pride flags up, but we wanted to do more than that and really have some interest and value. And so that was kind of where this idea was born. And so I think for right now, our initial goal with this project is to develop a few different posters that we would design in-house that would have some narrative and would have some photographs of individuals and or organizations and places. And then, like I said, have those on temporary display for right now, hopefully throughout the month of June. And I'm envisioning, I'd love to be able to have a set of these posters at each of the main county facilities, but we'll have to see where we are with budget and how many posters we end up with in the end. Beyond that, I think this content would make for really interesting digital content too, whether that's on the county's website or the library's website, or maybe Arlington Economic Development, who has a really great, if you haven't visited it, their Stay Arlington page right now has turned into the landing page for all of the different Pride activities, not only the ones that we're doing that I've mentioned already, but programs that the libraries is doing and programs that other entities are doing. So that really is going to be the main repository for finding out what's happening when and where. So we envision this content also being put online in case you can see it that way. You don't have to come to a county building in order to see it. And that's kind of as far, being honest, that's as far out as we've thought for right now.
No, that's fair enough, but that gives a pretty good sense of things as, like, I'll go back to community and ask for ideas and nominations, et cetera, but this
Excellent.
gives a pretty good idea. So, we have the faith community, we've got the military services that probably have people that they could mention. We've got healthcare, so a lot of opportunity. That gives a pretty good sense of things. Thank you.
Of course. And, too, just because we do highlight a few people or a few organizations now doesn't mean we could never expand this in the future to include more. So this is the first part of that.
Yeah, people may get used to having something other than the boat model to look at in there. So.
No comment.
I'll just also add that I think this is such a great thing for us to do that's like buildable over time, where we can create that local history and like expand year over year. Obviously, World Pride is like a particularly big deal, and we're lucky to have them here. But as we think about what more Arlington County can do to celebrate Pride, in perpetuity, building up this kind of local history database, I think is like a really cool and exciting thing. And if we miss someone this year, we can always come back and do 5 more, 10 more in the future.
Y'all hear that ringing? Right. Oh. I think that's me. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, mark your calendars. We'll see you Friday and Saturday night.
All right, very cool. Thank you very much. I'm excited. Like I said, I've been out of the country, so I was a little, hadn't looked really close at everything going on. So that's exciting. So next order of business and the main takeaway discussions for the evening is we want to talk about subcommittees and recommendations, because ultimately this is the reason we're here, is to form groups and make recommendations and to start developing resources that the county can use. And so I had a few recommendations to kind of get started on as far as the flow of how I think this will look going forward as we get our feet under us and start hitting the road. I know as far as recommendations, I'll open the floor after this to see if there's anything that we think is worth discussing right now. Otherwise, I think the move is to start a few subcommittees and have those kind of be to monitor and focus on certain topics to both bring things to the committee's attention when stuff is arising on that topic, and recommend recommendations for the committee to make, and also to be kind of go-tos when there is a request from the county or from someone in the community, like, hey, can someone sound off? Does anyone want to talk at this event? Does anyone want to be on this meeting? Does anyone want to answer a question? Kind of have some go-to folks to reach out to on different topics. Off the top of my head, one of the first things I'm thinking of is that, like Kellen discussed, there is the LGBT support proposal that's happening at the meeting on Wednesday, and I know we talked about this last time and didn't form the proper committee to get it going. I wonder, do y'all think it would be a good idea to have a companion recommendation, or like basically just a recommendation from us, since there's a lot of work's gone in to that already, to just kind of say, hey, ditto, we like it, we think you should go along with what this says. Is there anything that we think would be helpful from us on the conversation that's going to be starting when that happens? Caitlin.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree with that idea, and I would also be interested in serving on that subcommittee if it is formed, because I already have done some prior work on the county board resolution that they're wanting to pass. So, like looking at some comments and feedbacks based on the revisal. So, definitely be interested in serving on that committee. And I don't know who wants to head that. Someone maybe that has like a little bit more experience, like with that stuff. Heading, yeah. But I'll definitely be interested in serving on that subcommittee.
Okay. And first, just general thoughts. Do we think that's a good direction? If someone has, I guess, experience for how this goes, because I don't know, like if that's something that makes sense for a committee like this to do. I'm curious on thoughts. I don't know if Maureen, if you have any thoughts on if that would be something helpful from us. And I think the committee like this will have more proactive roles and stuff like this in the future. But for now, I think a thumbs up statement might be helpful. But curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that we are in really good shape for Tuesday and the resolution. I think all of my colleagues are aligned at this point. And I think, would be obviously very happy to have a statement of like thumbs up, but I think perhaps more importantly, this group is really valuable for actualizing the therefore be it resolves as far as holding the county to our standards and commitments in terms of making sure our policies are free from discrimination and bias, and making sure that we are aware and flagging and working towards the doing of the resolution. I think one of my original skepticisms with the resolution was, writing words down is kind of performative in some ways. But I think the reason that, we're doing a resolution instead of a proclamation is that it is a statement of our policy values. And it's a statement of, the board's commitment, particularly, I think, in the face of everything else that's going on right now, to really affirm in writing and have a document that we can be accountable to. So as much as, Tuesday is in good shape, but like, I think it's really what comes after that you all can be helpful and engaged in. And so I know, especially since this is kind of a newer group, like I don't want you all scrambling just to get something just for the sake of having something, but I kind of leave that to you in terms of what's possible or desired.
Cool. Kellen?
Thank you for letting me speak, even though I'm not on the committee. But yeah, just echoing what Maureen said, I think the value of this committee is figuring out what are the next steps for the county and what does that look like. So the county manager is going to get this resolution from the board, and he's directed to do a number of things. And this body can, through a subcommittee or, the full committee can say, here's the next steps we recommend that you take to actually implement the therefore let it be resolved things. I think that's the area where this committee could have some really powerful recommendations.
Okay, so those are good thoughts. So on that note, I think the next move then is to discuss kind of what the committee, basically what committees, what mechanisms do we want to prepare for to be ready to do this. In the notes that I had made, the ones that I had come up with as kind of a starting point for conversation was kind of there were three areas in our charter that I thought would make sense to kind of split off into. We'd have one for like business and I had business and development, I had legal and equity, and then I had health and public health and wellness. There was the recommendations from Charles on similar, the policy and equity, health and visibility and culture. Visibility and culture, like essentially, if we had started earlier, like a pride committee would have probably formed into that. I do like that recommendation. So I just kind of want to open it to y'all as far as what functions do we think will be useful? What are your thoughts?
I thought that the three subcommittee recommendations that Charles gave were made a lot of sense. I liked those three.
I do think the idea of maybe having one that is more specific to business and development, though, also might be useful. I'm not sure that they kind of fell under the three that Charles had mentioned. So maybe 4, I don't know.
Sam, could you please repeat those 3 that Charles gave at the beginning?
Yeah. So the 3 that Charles recommended were policy and equity, a health subcommittee, and a visibility and culture. And then those mostly aligned with the ones that I had been thinking of, with business and development being one that's potentially an addition. Tom.
Yes, if I could just note that Charles mentioned health and safety.
Health and
so
safety,
I think
yes.
the combination of the two, which actually go well together. So I think that that makes sense, at least to me. And I like the idea of the 4 different committees as they've been described here. I think that those are all important if that's something that we can take on. It's a lot to take on, but I think that those are distinct areas that are each important.
Diane.
So I would be happy to participate in the culture one. The library already does a lot of programming around both Pride and the coming out day and events throughout the year. So I'd be happy to work with a group to both publicize and make them visible, but also to make sure that we're continuing to kind of expand the kinds of offerings that we typically do, and that we involve as many different parts of the community as possible.
All right. Any other thoughts on one that might be missing? Wording that could be tweaked? Right now we have policy and equity, health and safety, visibility and culture, and business and development. Sam.
Yeah, I'm curious where, like, for example, I come to this group from PFLAG, which is a nonprofit organization. That wouldn't necessarily fall in the business category. I'm curious, like, if there are partnerships with any sort of local organizations, what kind of branch we're thinking that would fall under.
My gut says that would depend on the nature of the partnership. Like I would like several probably fall under policy and equity. They're like, if we're doing a know your right, like if we're doing if an organization wants to do a know your rights event, that's policy equity. If there's a healthcare info fair, that might go on the others. So I think partnership with organizations is it's a means of fulfilling goals. I don't think it's a goal in itself, but I'm open to other thoughts. Tom?
Yeah, just sort of following on that question, would the 4th subcommittee that was proposed, business and development, could that possibly become business and community development? And then that sort of broader umbrella might include the nonprofit sector as well, to the extent that an activity or an issue doesn't fit neatly into another category.
Kimberly?
I concur because coming from DPR, one of the things I'm most excited about serving in this committee is the being able to make connections with others who can help us build our programming. So I think that, finding a place to nest it. I'm trying to find my way into the culture pot, but like I don't care, but really, yes, being able to like build and grow those relationships with maybe, not an emphasis always on programming, but like where would programming fit in those subcommittee pockets? Because I think there's a place for, I know we do it individually, Diane, but like, if there's, maybe partnering on programs with different groups.
Yeah, we already do that with the library.
Yeah.
George Mason, we've done things with the free clinic. It depends on the topic, as I think Sam was mentioning earlier. We pick the partners based on what it is we want to present to the community. So when you were asking about programming, I was putting that under the sort of culture and community development.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be there. My other worry, however, is if we have a lot of subcommittees, then it takes a lot of people to run them and manage them and hold other people accountable. So having done some board work in the past, subcommittees are great until you don't have enough people to kind of do the basics. So maybe in the beginning we think about being very targeted and 3, maybe no more than 4, and see how they go in a few months of both attracting people from this group as well as others to be on those subcommittees and start to, as Maureen was saying, actualize the resolution.
I agree. I definitely don't want to go more than 4. 4 feels like a lot. There's a decent number of people in this committee, so 4 is doable if we think that will capture everything. If we were to I feel like if we were to get rid of one of these, one of them has to become pretty vague. But maybe that's okay. Because the 4th one, Caitlin, what do you think?
Okay, yeah, I was thinking, just like looking at what was put in the chat by Charles. And I don't know if he's still on the call, but thank you for that, Charles. This helps me visualize now like what your intent was. Yeah, I was thinking maybe visibility and culture could, if necessarily, could also be like put part of like health, safety, and wellness, just because I feel like the visibility and culture comes around, like we want LGBTQ people to be safe and we want to make sure their well-being. So like this is also could be something if we need to like smush together subcommittees. I feel like visibility and culture could be one that's not necessarily have to be separate, but of course, I do like the idea of it being a separate subcommittee, but I'm saying if we just need to like rush to, I think was like Diane's point, like, or whoever said like need to crunch. Right, that could be one where we could like.
I feel like the business and community development one we've added on could probably squish into visibility and culture easier than the other way, but open to thoughts. Sam, you have your hand up.
That is exactly what I was going to say. Sorry, my services. Yeah, but
So if the idea is we keep it to 3 and visibility and culture, if culture kind of includes business and nonprofit partnership, is there a phrase? Is there a phrasing? Because I kind of liked community development, but I don't want to lose the word culture. Visibility. I mean, visibility and community development's not bad. Laura, what do you think?
So have to like figure out, from my Teams to Zoom where the unmute button is.
Yeah.
I'm like, where is it? So I think, again, thank you, Charles, for putting in that. I think that like that idea in policy and equity, I mean, he speaks about elevating marginalized LGBTQIA plus communities. So there's our communities and how we can, reach out to other communities like nonprofits and business communities. I think it's kind of in there. So, I mean, we could maybe just make it like policy, equity, and community and kind of just throw it into the, into the first one, health, safety, wellness, visibility, culture.
Diane.
Yeah, I was going to suggest community development and culture.
Yeah, because I think I like policy and equity being more set apart as like county policies and services that serve people.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly, does that grouping work
Perfect.
for you? Okay.
Yep, I like it a lot.
All right, so it sounds like we are zeroing in on policy and equity, health and safety, and then visibility and community development. I do like the word culture, though.
Or community
No.
development and culture.
Yeah, I think
it was, yeah.
culture.
Okay.
We said culture and community development.
Okay. So policy and equity, health and safety, culture and community development. And so I think before we kind of vote these in, we need at least one person on each of them, and then like we don't have to there's people who aren't here, so we can send them out and we can get volunteers for who wants to be on what team. But I'm thinking as we set these up, especially with the resolution that's going out, I think the mission would be to sometime before the next meeting, for each of these work groups to have at least one kind of recommendation on what a next step is for getting these commitments done. And so I think next time we meet, we would get a little bit of a report, a state of the union on this topic, and a recommendation or two for kind of what we think the next steps to recommend to the county are for moving forward. And so with that as kind of the grounding expectation that I would be thinking of, I would like a person or two on each one, and then we will, we'll send the call out for people to sort themselves into and pick who's going to be in charge and when you're going to meet, because I imagine each one's going to have different needs for frequency and flow. But with that expectation, should we just go down the list as we are thinking of establishing these? Do I have anyone who is burning to be on policy and equity? And also any thoughts on kind of the proposal, Caitlin? Or is that just hand for that committee?
And so it just, I was going to say policy and equity committee, I think, is one I would love to serve on. And I can also, I mean, once we get our people, can also like chair, because I do have like a background in public policy. So definitely I feel like that can help like that committee, like, okay, say like, here is what we want this policy to outright say, and stuff. So definitely, but as that can be like served for like a subcommittee. But yeah, I was going to say, and I think One other thought is definitely like this plan, although one thing I would say is maybe regarding like health, safety, and wellness, like maybe there could be collaboration between like all three subcommittees, especially if there comes a time where like, okay, like we're looking at a policy that's going to affect like the safety and wellness, or there's going to be a policy that's like going to affect like businesses, community development, maybe having something where there's like, okay, a collaboration between three subcommittees.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I imagine as conversations go and meetings happen that the word will get out to. I encourage folks to spread the word to the whole group when your meetings are, so anyone who has thoughts can come and join them. And if you want to invite each other to the meetings and to collaborate, I think that's a good idea and will definitely be necessary because not everything sorts neatly into one of these three. So we're all gonna be working together. Right. Anyone else for policy equity? All right, Laura, you're
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'm happy to serve on that committee, you know. I'm not feeling chair mode, but yeah, sign me up.
select few that feel chair mode. All right, so we got Caitlin and Laura for policy and equity, and we'll, like I said, we'll send an email out. I'm sure you'll get more, and you can recruit and encourage as you see fit. Next up, health and safety. Who's feeling called? Right, Lewis, Candace. Okay. Anyone else for health and safety? All right, going out 2 by 2. I like it. All right, and culture and community development. I know Diane, you had raised your hand for that. Well, it's Tom and Kimberly. Okay, so we have 3 subcommittees. We have them seated. I would suggest that by next meeting to be ready to have someone picked as chair of the subcommittee and to give us a report on, like I said, the state of the union on your topic, and with a regular recommendation or two for what next steps are for continuing the mission. With these 3 subcommittees, policy and equity, health and safety, and culture and community development. I wrote that note really small, so I'd culture and community development. We got some seated membership, and with this mission, I would like to entertain a motion to establish these subcommittees. Unless there's any further discussion.
So moved.
All right, Laura moves. We have a second.
Tom will second.
All right. All those in favor of establishing these subcommittees? Say aye or raise your hand or thumbs up emoji.
Aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? All right. The ayes have it. These are our sub.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Can we ask each subcommittee to write a charge as part of their homework between now and the next meeting, so that it's sort of clear
Yes.
what the group thinks it's going to be responsible for?
Yep, I like that. So we come with a State of the Union, a mission statement or a charge, and a recommendation or two. Caitlin?
Oh yeah, no, I was just going to you answered it because I was just going to, because I missed like the term Diane said, so that's why I was like, okay, you answered it, so that's all.
Yeah, a charge, mission statement.
Yeah. No, I was like, I just missed what she said, so that was all.
Oh, Kimberly.
Just a little housekeeping. Will you send out the list of the committees and the members so we can get ourselves together?
Yep. Will do.
Thank you.
Sam, one other
Okay.
question. For those of us on this group who also work for the county, should we also be reaching out to the outstanding employee resource group, for example, because they have a number of people. They're a pretty active group, and they might want to participate as committee members, as subcommittee members rather.
Yep, I think that's appropriate. The charter says that subcommittee members don't have to be members of this committee, so you're free to reach out and recruit as you see fit. Cool. So it sounded like the ayes have it. So these are our committees. I'm excited. This is going to be good. And so that was what I had for that. Next item is just any new business, other thoughts. Does anyone have anything for the good of the order or discussion they would like to bring up?
I did want to share the opportunity from the Columbia Pike Partnership. They are planning a Pride Month event on May 28th, and they were looking for somebody who could give like a 10 to 15 minute speech at a lunch, so at noon, at this event. And again, that's on May 28th. So if anyone feels like they have capacity and are interested in it, and then it was just to talk about like the importance of the LGBTQIA community as they see it in Arlington. And so that is an opportunity that is upcoming, and they're looking for a speaker.
Who is that with again?
It's the Columbia Pike Partnership. And you don't have to decide right now, but I can send out an email asking too.
First topic, what is the event that they're doing?
It was just described to me as some part of their Pride Month celebration.
Okay.
It's a lunch.
Okay. Pride lunch.
Elizabeth, I will have to confirm with my schedule. But I live on Columbia Pike and am pretty involved in like the neighborhood, so I'd be happy to consider that.
Okay.
Right. I did want to point out that so we had an email from James Fisher who couldn't make it. Said he wasn't able to attend. He mentioned that he wanted to learn how the county's handling the anti-DEI backlash. I think that's going to be covered in a lot of the recommendations we make and in the statement that's being made. But he made a comment. He said Libby Garvey has been sending around an ominous commentary about how bad she thinks things are going to get. Does anyone know what he's talking about? I haven't seen this communication. All right, I'll follow up with him and see what that's about. But I think as part of our recommendations, the statements being made, we're covering the responses need to be made. But I was curious if that was something public going around that others heard about. But it was a interesting description. Well, if there is nothing else for the good of the order, I think we can wrap this up a little on the early side as we get into subcommittees and reports and conversations. I imagine we'll have more to discuss in future meetings. But this was a good necessary bit of housekeeping and getting ourselves prepped for the work ahead. So thank you all for your participation. Thanks for people stepping up. I believe the next one is it looks like we are setting these up for the fourth Monday every 3 months, and so that would put our next meeting at July 28th. And so in the meantime, we'll send communications around. We'll make sure contact info is going around and people can get in their subcommittees and get ready for the conversations. Feel free to reach out, message the group if there's things that need to be discussed in the meantime. But thank you all. Thanks to Kellen and Charles for the public comment. And I will send an email with the committees we agreed on, and we'll figure out the best way to get everybody in contact with each other. Because is there? That was one of the things we discussed last time that I said I would do, is to get us a contact list. So that'll be part of this. And we can discuss kind of the best way to stay in touch. But we'll get the email list out. But if there is nothing else, then I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Cool.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Just want to keep talking. All right, the ayes have it. The meeting stands adjourned at 7:34. Thank you all so much. I'm looking forward to hitting the ground running. Now that we got our shoes on, we're gonna start getting to work. I'm excited, and I'm excited for Pride. Now, hopefully, next time we will be meeting and doing a little bit of debrief on Pride, and hopefully talking about how fun and safe and empowering it was.
Actually, I thought we're meeting at the block party on Saturday.
Yes. Oh yeah. Hopefully we'll see folks there. I'm excited for the light shows. I'm excited for art. It's gonna be good. Especially now that I've had a little vacation, I've slept. I have energy again for the first time in quite a while, so I'm excited.
Thanks, everyone. Great to see you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.